Bueno, amigos, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo estáis? Bienvenidos un día más al canal. En el día tenemos, quiero reaccionar esto con vosotros, ¿vale? Ya que es algo que nunca hemos visto por aquí, por el canal. Y es que literalmente hemos estado reaccionando lo que viene a ser la prensa chilena como tal, hablando un poquito de lo que vienen a ser los peruanos. Pero nunca hemos escuchado un poco lo que vienen a ser los peruanos hablando sobre Chile, ¿vale? Así que dicho esto, vamos a reaccionar.
One of the biggest port infrastructure projects that China has is in the country of Peru. It's a megaport project.
Aquí tenemos en primero literalmente los Estados Unidos, ¿vale? Que se preocupan también por el puerto de Chancay, por lo que estamos viendo.
In Chancay, Peru, which is about 75-80 kilometers north of the capital city of Lima.
Algo así, ¿sabes?
It's considered to be one of the largest ports. It's not online yet, but when it does, it'll be one of the largest ports in the region that would be able to house about 6 million tons of cargo and will be able to bring what they call a triple E class of cargo ships, some of the biggest cargo ships that exist. The initial investment of $1.3 billion in 2019 kicked this project off, and they gave it a capital increase to 3.6, if I'm not mistaken, to a level to get it finished by 2024. The majority shareholder of the Chancay port project is what the Italian defense minister, Minister Mauro, just talked about, COSCO Shipping. COSCO Shipping Ports, a subsidiary of China Ocean Shipping Company, COSCO, is also known for regularly providing the PLA's Navy logistical support for many of their training and humanitarian support operations, particularly non-combatant evacuation operations. That picture you're seeing on the screen of the cargo ship, I don't know if you can see it very big, that's not in Chancay, that's not in Peru. That is a picture of a COSCO ship that's loading amphibious tanks as part of what they call a amphibious invasion drill that they're holding on the South China Sea that's meant to invade most likely Taiwan. So COSCO Shipping has been demonstrated. This particular ship, the Bang Chui Dao, is a ship that's particularly used for these type of military, civil military operations. And this is the Chinese shipping company that's now owning a significant port on the Pacific of Latin America. The other half of the critical infrastructure that I want to point to you where Chinese investment has a dual use application is satellite ground stations. I know we're going to have a panel after lunch about space, and I think they're going to delve much more into this in greater detail. But in general, and I'm not a space expert, but from what I understand, ground stations are very important in the military world for something called space situational awareness. Basically, the thousands of satellites that are orbiting.
Al fin y al cabo están flipando y lo mucho que analizan, ¿no? Lo que viene a ser el puerto de Chancay, que todavía le queda, ¿sabes? Ahora mismo se encuentra como en un 45% por lo que hemos visto. O sea, todavía le queda un largo camino, las cosas como son. Pero realmente pinta bastante bien, ¿no? El hecho de, no sé, está todo el mundo hablando literalmente de este proyecto de Perú.
Earth. It allows you to be able to have an understanding of where they're positioned, what kind of information is being transmitted, and allow you to be able to engage in all kinds of space warfare, space being the fifth domain of war. And this is very critical in today's information-dominant warfare environment. This is why China, throughout the last 20 years, has gone from 5 to 50 successful orbital launches with its space program. Well, one of the space projects, now let me say this carefully, China, what they say they do with their space projects in Latin America, the satellite ground stations, is they don't say it has any military applications. They say that it's to explore the far side of the moon for deep space exploration, right? So that's the official explanation from China, and that's how they've sold these to the host nation countries that house these ground stations. In fact, the one I want to talk to you about, the one that's located in Argentina, is actually called, in Spanish, it's called the Espacio Lejano Ground Station, which stands for Deep Space Station. Lejano. This space station was leased by the Argentine government back in 2012 for 500 acres of land. So the investment came through the land, literally the physically the land, in a part of Argentina called Neuquén. It's in the southern part of the country, very beautiful part of Argentina in the Patagonia. And so China acquired 500 acres of land, and they built this satellite tracking station. And in 2 years later, in 2014, they ratified it through the Argentine Congress. That created a debate because people in the Argentine Congress wanted to know what is this space station actually going to do. There wasn't a lot of transparency with the station. So that prompted many inquiries from the Congress that were not fulfilled by the government at the time. But the government in Argentina changed hands in the year 2015. And the previous government, now this is the government of President Mauricio Macri, they wanted to review a lot of the deals that they had with China. One of the campaign promises of President Macri had been to look to diversify Argentina's trade with their top trade partner with China, and they wanted to engage with more of the international community. So the Argentine Foreign Ministry in 2015 and 2016 did a review of all their bilateral projects and contracts with China. And something very interesting came of this, which included this satellite facility. They wanted to know about it. When they had their conversation with their counterparts in the Chinese Foreign Ministry, they said, we'd like to learn a little bit more about this deep space exploration project you have in our country. We want to know, essentially they're asking for a little more transparency to understand what's actually being done in the facility, because the way the contract was written, the facility was managed by a company that was owned by the PLA, a company called CLTC. The Chinese Foreign Ministry very diplomatically said, we're happy to renegotiate, we're happy to relook, we're happy to re-examine all the contracts, including the satellite tracking facility, but please examine your contract. They told the Argentines, please examine your contract. When the Argentine Foreign Ministry examined their contract with the space station, they found something called a cross-default clause. It's very important for all you that are signing deals with China, because the cross-default clause stipulates that the failure to complete one project will trigger a mechanism to accelerate all the loan payments for all the projects you have with China. It would actually reduce the grace periods that the China's given on any kind of loans that they've given to your country. Argentina was not in an economic position to renegotiate all of its infrastructure projects. Some are very key to their commerce, like the Belgrano Cargas Railway project, which is also financed by China. So essentially, they got hoodwinked. Argentina got hoodwinked to getting stuck with a military space station. By the way, CLTC, the company that owns the space station in Neuquén, Argentina.
O sea, al final, es que esta comparación, sobre todo con lo que viene a ser Argentina, y esta comparación a nivel, digamos, más grande, más fuerte, ¿no? La verdad que me hace ver un poquito también los niveles en los que se están, digamos, fijando a la hora de, bueno, darse cuenta de lo que viene a ser este tipo de proyectazos y, bueno, tenerlo en cuenta de X manera y sobre todo el saber lo que puede provocar tanto en el país, obviamente, donde hacen el proyecto, como países vecinos, ¿no? Como tal. Sí que es verdad que Estados Unidos, a ver, teniendo en cuenta que es una de las más grandes potencias a nivel internacional, tampoco lo veo yo como que tengan que preocuparse mucho, ¿no? Por ejemplo, hemos visto preocuparse bastante lo que viene a ser, por ejemplo, Chile, por ejemplo, también hemos visto Argentina. Y no sabría decirte qué más países, pero sí que es verdad que hay varios que se preocupan y es normal porque son países vecinos más cercanos que puede quitarle un poquito de comercio a nivel a nivel pacífico, ¿no? A nivel portuario.